Did you see Brian Johnson before? Welcome to Down Round. Did you see that Brian Johnson, the Don't Die guy? What two things? A, Chamath saying his skin was soft, which I just thought was
Interesting.
But two, here's what my brain looks like, and then I intravenous ketamine.
Yeah.
And here's what happened to my brain. I'm a little off that as like, where does that fit into the paradigm of like don't die? Now you're just kind of making content.
You're making content. Yeah, well, that's it, actually. So for context, Brian Johnson, who, as you know, is like the guy who looks like a reptile, longevity. He's trying to not die through some insane experiment. He found a brain tree.
Sorry, very presumptuous to say, as you know. Yes, there's a percentage of our audience will definitely know. There's a percentage who has no idea about a reptilian-looking dude who injects his son's blood. They don't. This is the first they're hearing of it.
I think they would have. It has penetrated into the mainstream. It has penetrated into the mainstream.
Define mainstream.
Yeah, well, okay. People that are inclined to be in the communities online, which might expose them to a reptilian-looking man who's trying not to die. Obviously, he's been doing all this crazy stuff to try not to die. But you're right. As part of the content operation, also he's got like this Australian chick that's like his offsider that does all his social content.
Australians keep popping up in...
They pop up in
uncomfortable places.
Yeah, so there was a documentary where she was sort of like showing...
Like Kanye's wife?
Yeah, exactly. Having like a weird Australian woman orbiting some of the most insane men on Earth, it's not a good look.
Well, like Rick Ross, they hit their little sting that they put on every song was like, I love that Maybach music. And it's like an Australian chick.
See, this is...
Maybach music.
This is real dangerous as like a global pitch for Australia. Weird orbiters are some of the strangest men on Earth. Anyway, so Brian Johnson, he made this video where he injected himself with ketamine to demonstrate that it was bad for his brain.
And so I thought your whole thing was avoiding all that shit so that you're going to live forever.
And now you're using it to moralize about people who aren't involved in your sick little scheme, who might enjoy a bit of horse tranquilizer.
I was wondering
in a safe, controlled environment.
Speaking of sacred, I was wondering what he would think of the beer we just drunk, which was named MSG, the oat cream IPA or whatever.
I feel like he's just, you shouldn't drink alcohol. That's one of his points. But if you must drink alcohol, do not drink oat cream IPA.
Called MSG.
That's at the bottom of the... If you ranked beers by healthiness, futile project. Let's just start with that. An oat cream IPA called MSG would rank pretty lowly, I would imagine.
Enough of that, onto the serious stuff. Elon's children. No, like very quickly up top. Elon, we are going to talk about Elon's children because we have to talk about Elon's kids.
Well, there's a few Elon updates. Yeah, this is a packed episode.
Grok 3. I'm going to go through them right now. We got a rundown, and by rundown I mean like literally the rundown is these dot points and nothing more. So this is verbatim how the sausage gets made. This is in the Down Round shared Apple Notes document.
Yep.
Elon's children. Grok OpenAI purchase. Deep research shoes Claude perplexity.
Okay.
NVIDIA / chips back to parity. Robots, humane AI pin acquihire.
Great.
That's the rundown, folks.
That's absolutely incomprehensible. You could have sold that far better than you did.
Okay, whatever. We're going to talk about Grok 3 coming out. Elon trying to buy OpenAI. See, I can interpret this.
Yep.
Deep research. We talked
about it last week.
We talked about it last week, but I actually used it now. OpenAI's new ranking system and how Claude fits into that. Perplexity's deep research. We're going to talk about how the big DeepSeek freakout has played out. We're going to talk about robots.
Yep, there's a couple little robot things to chat about.
And the death of the humane AI pin, RIP.
Which we brought up a number of months ago. So there's a packed thing. We're going to cover it across 2 episodes. The first episode will be for all you free listeners. And if you want to hear the real deep down and dirty insights, you're going to have to sign up for Down Round Premium. And first, can I just say, a little bit of a horror movie that I experience every now and again in my life is that my phone will send me a push notification, sometimes at 3:30 in the morning, that says Raf Dixon has updated Down Round, which is the shared Apple Notes doc
Yeah,
where
it needn't send a push notification.
every single time you make an alteration, I get a push notification. And because that document is so unwieldy, I have no idea what you've done. I just know it's like a tap on the shoulder being like, someone's doing the work. Anyway, so there's a couple of, there's a few Elon adjacent things that have been going on, but we can't ignore the elephant in the room. It's a bit out of our remit. Well, I don't know. IVF and surrogacy is actually,
and CRISPR is involved here.
well, I don't think it actually is. That post was fake.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. But IVF is a technology. Surrogacy is a technology. Elon Musk is a technologist.
Yeah.
But
And this is cultural.
he's had his 13th child
Yes, with the right-wing influencer.
with a right-wing influencer, Ashley St. Clair.
And now, look, I'm going to caveat a bunch of this by saying a lot of this is speculation and, who really knows? But, and you probably know more than I do, so you can fact-check me live. Everyone needs a fact-checker.
Yeah.
Of Elon Musk's 13 children, one of the posts I read suggested that only one of them was from, like, I don't want to cast aspersions, but like what I would call a natural birth. When a daddy rabbit and mummy rabbit love each other very much,
Yeah.
coitus
Yeah.
occurs
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
the sperm
Sure.
into the egg,
Yeah.
etc.
Tale as old as time.
Yeah. But I read that only one of 13 was conceived that way.
Yeah.
And that X,
Yeah, the one with Grimes.
the human shield,
One
or
of the
whatever.
ones with Grimes.
Yeah. The rest of them are IVF surrogacy, where he just emails his sperm to a woman.
Yeah. There's probably a few other steps involved there.
It-
But obviously, vast majority of them are male.
And trans woman.
Yeah. But also there are a couple of other daughters.
Okay.
But the vast majority of them are male.
Again, you can fact check me, but the post I was reading was that they're like selecting for.
Well, yeah, he would 100% be doing some sort of weird genetic selection. There's no way that Elon Musk is not getting involved in some sort of weird screening for whatever traits he's looking for.
But in the case of the latest surrogate, it seems like he has very little interaction with her
Well, yeah,
physically, like in person.
they're currently fighting. Well, she did a profile in the New York Post where she said it was actually a natural. They had an affair or something, but people are kind of like, I'm not sure if that lines up factually. We don't want to. I don't want to get sucked into talking about Elon Musk's demented politics and whatever right now, because that's obviously, it's one of the main stories. He's running Doge.
Yep, doing a great job.
He's doing a great job cutting down the
exposing
exposing
corruption.
fraud, exposing corruption and fraud
Well, yes,
on
he
X.com.
saved $30 million from the US deficit. 30 million with an M
Well,
dollars
he's
of fraud solved.
He's getting in there. Yep, he's revealed that all of the fiscal issues that the United States face, it's fraud by dark and evil forces.
My favorite part of the fraud being when on Super Bowl day when Trump alluded to the idea that maybe some of the national debt may be fraudulent, and in fact some of those T-bills, some of the treasuries.
We don't even need to pay some of those.
We don't even need to pay those T-bills that are the foundation of the entire global economy.
Yeah. Literally the safest asset you can have, and as a result, everyone is invested in US T-bills. Him being like, some of these are fraudulent, I don't have to pay them. And even the people in his administration having to be like, that he did not mean that.
He was not talking about treasuries, even when he was like, treasuries.
Some of them are fake. That's totally. To say that some T-bills may be fraudulent, you may as well just be like...
Money doesn't exist.
Money doesn't exist.
Money no longer is useful.
At some point, when a caveman exchanged a banana leaf for a big comical hunk of like a mammoth leg, that was fake.
It was like, ignore all of that. From then till now,
It was fraudulent.
you can't trust any of it.
Anyway, but not going to get into all that, but Elon Musk, he's on his 13th child or whatever. He's obviously thinking about it very old school. He's thinking of himself as Genghis Khan. He's seeding the gene pool of the world.
Well, think about it though. If we
He's
can
trying
have,
to build the future Mars aristocracy.
If we can have 10 Elons, we can get to Venus. We can get to Saturn.
We could. If he probably thinks that the forcing function for us getting to Mars is more of my like weird progeny out there working on it.
Yeah.
And if we don't have that, then we've got nothing.
Yeah. Occupy Mars.
Occupy Mars. Anyway, but let's get into actual
the
down
actual
round
text,
material.
Sorry, that was way too long.
It's all right, no
but
worries.
It's fun to talk about. So anyway, thank you if this is the first...
If this is the first episode you listen to and you've tuned out, that's fine.
Yeah.
Apologies.
That's reasonable. If you stuck by, you're like, okay, I was told that this was actually going to be good, and there's alpha here, then not two alphas, but I mean like there's alpha to be generated, then thank you for sticking with us. Here comes the alpha. Grok 3.
Yeah, good place to start because this happened yesterday from we're recording on Wednesday. So obviously Grok is the LLM or AI made by XAI, which is, let's be honest, let's cut to the chase. And this kind of links in what else we're going to talk about. XAI was Elon Musk's public dummy spit after OpenAI. Because as a reminder, he was one of the founders of OpenAI when it was founded back in 2015. They had lots of disputes, him and Sam Altman, which eventually led to Elon Musk exiting the enterprise.
Yeah.
Since he left...
A huge L, let's be honest. Like, this could go down in history as one of the biggest mistakes. He was a founder of OpenAI, and he spat the dummy and left because he said, I give you a 0% chance of beating Google.
Yeah.
Subsequently, we know what happened.
Well, if we call the current stakes, I would say that OpenAI is pretty comfortably beating Google.
They're comfortably in the lead right now.
That may not hold, but the 0% chance I think may have undershot the reality a little bit. Anyway, XAI.
But yeah, you'd be spewing though, right? If you literally were one of the founding investors and founding partners, and you just left because of a dummy spit, and then a couple years later, it's like, quote unquote, the most important company on the planet.
Yeah, ChatGPT, biggest consumer product ever.
Yeah, fastest growth.
Nobody's talking about, like, it sucks attention away from everything else you're doing.
I'm pretty sure its latest valuation either went past or is basically equal with SpaceX. So it's like literally going past your businesses. Yeah, you'd be fucking spewing, given that you were right there.
You were right there. And also,
and the reason you left is because you said what they were doing was shit and wasn't going to work.
Yeah. And, let's say, I think it's fair to say that Elon Musk is probably more competitive than your average person. So just put yourself in the mindset of someone who's really competitive. If you're like, I'd be fine with that. I got my life to live, Just put yourself in the mindset of someone who actually does care about that quite a bit, I would imagine. Anyway, XAI.
As well as like it seeming like, okay, I can thread the needle here. Because he also fucked up on the Twitter purchase, it's fair to say. He overpaid drastically for Twitter, renamed to X. But the genius threading the needle is like, X will be the platform for my even better.
I have an incredible
LLM.
live data set, the world's brain via X. He formed XAI not that long ago.
Again, got to hand it to him.
Yeah.
They've done it very quickly.
They've done well. They've very, very quickly. They've built, in the time since he founded it, and he did raise a tremendous amount of money. If there's something that Elon Musk can do incredibly well, it is sell the story and raise a tremendous amount of money from a variety of different sources.
And then make a bunch of freaks work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Exactly. Acquire great talent, which he's, again, quite good at, and then, yes, make those people work 24/7 to produce an outcome. He raised like $6 billion, pretty much straight off the bat for XAI.
Yeah.
Grok.
He bought 100,000 NVIDIA A100s and H100s. I don't know what the actual breakdown is.
And he built the single largest cluster.
Yeah, in like 90 odd days.
Also, just to clarify, because a lot of people say single largest cluster, the total amount of chips that OpenAI has access to is more, but it's spread across multiple clusters.
Same as Google.
Same with Google. This is the single largest cluster in one facility that is training training like an LLM. They released the first Grok pretty soon after they came with Grok 2. And this, which is now this week, was Grok 3. And this was really hyped for two reasons. One, it's Elon Musk doing something, so people are going to be interested. But two, it was being sold as, this is going to be a test of the scaling thesis.
Yeah.
We use the logic that's been used to make all these other AI systems like ChatGPT or GPT-4 or whatever, Claude's, like Anthropic's Claude, etc. But we're putting it on this single amazing cluster of chips, bigger than any that have been used in a single form to train something. We're going to find out whether like the concepts that underpin all of these hold. More processing power equals better model.
Yeah.
And we're going to try to do that. Grok 3 was announced. They've demonstrated it, gone up against all these fucking made-up benchmarks that all these AI companies agree on.
Yeah.
And what we've got on the other side is a model that performs basically as well and no better than the current best OpenAI model.
Yeah.
So they've catapulted themselves over 18 months of production to create a cutting-edge AI.
Yes.
A frontier model.
A frontier model. It's another one up there in the mix.
It's
But look, again, got to hand to him. Impressive that he's done it that quickly. Is it as impressive as DeepSeek? But
Yeah.
it is more also to the thesis. Yes, with compute you can create. Here are my key takeaways. One, yes, with lots of compute you can create
Yeah.
a very good model. Two, with lots of compute and not the best talent, but still pretty good talent, you can create a near frontier model. Three, more and more, it seems obvious that like you can make these models. You know what I mean? They made it pretty quick. Yes, they've got this huge cluster of that it's working on, which yes, that is a competitive advantage. Obviously, money is a competitive advantage. However, like the actual fundamental model itself,
Yeah.
they're all basically the same.
They're all the same. And I think that's what, yeah, exactly. The takeaway is, what are the two moats? It's data, like the data set you're training on, which is difficult to acquire, and then the compute you have. And yes, you need to be paying top flight AI scientists unbelievable salaries.
Yes.
Like people on 7-figure at least comp.
At least, because honestly, the thing you're competing against right now is them getting hundreds of millions of dollars in funding to start their own.
Yeah.
Which is what you see at OpenAI, right?
OpenAI.
Like literally, like all of the founders of OpenAI have now all gone off and started their own companies.
In fact, this week, Mira Murati, who used to be the chief technology officer at OpenAI, has started Thinking Machines, I think is the name of the company, and has raised $1 billion for that.
And she's taken a bunch of talent with her.
A bunch of talent, and I read like the pitch of what it is, and I was like, okay, well, that sounds like every other company.
Safe, super intelligent.
Which Ilias Sutskever, yeah.
I mean, Anthropic was the original of these in some ways, etc., etc., etc.
It's very, this is part of the hype cycle, and I find it very, I don't think, not all these companies are going to win. Like some of them have got to will to A. But it's pretty clear that if you have been at the top of one of these AI companies, you are like a member of technical staff, you're up there. If you decide to step away and start a company and speak to investors,
you got $1 billion.
You will have $1 billion.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. That doesn't happen anywhere else on Earth.
No. It's very easy to get wooed away as well when it's like, okay, if you're at OpenAI, you have your ESOPs, like you have your shares, but like the current valuation of OpenAI is so high. What are the vectors for growth there when it's or you can jump on this company that's currently valued at $1 billion, but
it's
or
gonna,
$10 billion,
but could rocket,
but
really
could
quick.
easily be $100 billion. Then you 10x. Somehow OpenAI has got to somehow offer the share benefits and the salary to stop people from jumping over to the new one with their boss.
The incentives are demented. There is no other industry or space or anything on Earth that even remotely approaches like the absurd detached nature of these contracts and these investments. Anyway, so as we said, Grok 3, it's a frontier model. And it has introduced absolutely nothing new to the conversation.
I disagree. You can ask it about drugs.
Well, that's right. It's uncensored. It's based. I should make it clear this was part of the original pitch. You're not censored on Grok. You can ask it how to.
You can ask it about race IQ. You can ask it about phrenology, probably.
Exactly. You can ask it about to rank the races by IQ. You can ask it how to build a nuclear weapon.
Yeah.
The sort of stuff that ChatGPT won't tell you, and Claude certainly won't tell you. In fact, Claude will scold you for even asking.
Yeah.
So that was part of Musk's original pitch. But in terms of like technical level, it's got a reasoning model just like OpenAI does. It's got all these different bells and whistles, but it doesn't introduce anything new, which is why like you look at Elon Musk's posts on X, everything he says is like, if you want to see how great a business or product is, look at the rate of the scaling. Because he's basically saying that like our line is going up really quickly. Our line is almost vertical.
Yeah, because we started later.
He's not making any claims about how good it is, really, apart from it being frontier model. But to add to the context around what's going on, because last week we recorded on a Monday, which used to be our old day, and then immediately the next day there was a flurry of activity.
Yeah.
Elon Musk tried to buy OpenAI.
Yes.
And
He offered $97 million.
he offered $97 billion.
billion.
And just to get you may have in the past week become acquainted with what was going on there. To be clear, as we've talked about in the past, OpenAI is a capped profit entity inside a non-profit.
With an insane structure.
And so it's an absurd structure because it obviously originally began as a non-profit for the safe development of AI, insulated from commercial imperatives, blah, 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 all this lovely stuff. But at some point, Sam Altman was like, actually, I would love to be fucking Steve Jobs. I'd love to be rich. I'd love to be loaded. I'd love to get $500 billion of investment from SoftBank. And you can't really do that as a non-profit.
No. It makes it tough.
It's tough to accept a huge amount of investment.
It's tough to make a profit in an NFP.
Yes.
You can, I guess, give yourself an insane salary. That's kind of the only way around it.
I did. I'm going to be clear with you. That happens a lot at non-profits.
Well, they can't make a profit, so...
So, exactly. You know, if you happen to receive $1.5 million total compensation a year at your favorite environmental non-profit, that's fine. Yeah. But as long as the entity itself does not make a profit... But it's made it very difficult for OpenAI. Sam Altman would love to just be done with that.
Yeah.
And as a result, we're not going to get into the complexities of it, but there's basically, he is soliciting like a $40 billion investment from SoftBank, I think, are the specific investor. I could be wrong. It might be a consortium, which like mechanically is going to liberate that non-profit status. He's trying to shuffle this through in like quick succession.
Elon Musk is suing them because of it. Unclear exactly what the case. He's just suing them as an individual, saying, "No, you're a non-profit. You can't do that." And
to be clear, and this is I will hand it to Elon Musk. His central claim of you shouldn't be able to be a non-profit, get all the benefits of being a non-profit, tax benefits, all this sort of stuff, then suddenly be like, we're a for-profit entity now. Build off that base and then shoot to the moon.
Yes, of course.
His claim is you shouldn't be able to do that.
Which is it is fair.
And if it wasn't a company where it's like a hyper-growth, important AI company that everyone cares about and is super hypey, most people would be like, yeah, I don't think you should be able to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when you look at, for example, the Microsoft investment in the contract was like, it should be perceived as akin to a donation. And it's like, we all know that's not what this is.
Yeah, exactly.
This is not a donation.
No, exactly. And so they have absolutely been playing silly buggers with and straining the definition of a non-profit. And just as a reminder, and we covered this episode on my honeymoon, actually, rubber really met road when the board was like, you are not acting in line with what the true stakeholders of this non-profit arrangement. We are firing you as CEO.
Yeah, what our constitution says, you are no longer doing safe AI.
I think we said
and
at the time.
In a duplicitous manner.
A duplicitous manner. And we said it at the time, and we say it again now. Regardless of what you think about the company and like the product and whether you enjoy using ChatGPT, they were well within their rights to do that.
That's probably in line with their fiduciary duty to the constitution of the NFP, for sure.
Exactly. You are acting as like a psycho Steve Jobs when this is a not-for-profit.
Yeah.
You are fired as CEO. We're going to find someone who lives up to that.
But obviously everyone else in the world was like,
I love using ChatGPT.
And also was like, oh, we all know you're not a not-for-profit.
Yeah, exactly.
We all know that's just a fucking thing.
Yeah.
And so it's like, the board's crazy. It's like, well, they probably were literally doing their job. It's just that they were the last ones in the world who believed in the job.
Yep.
And the constitution. But again, legally, the director's duty is to abide by the constitution, in this case, of the not-for-profit. They probably were doing the right thing legally.
Yeah, absolutely.
That said, plenty of people are in that situation and just like, this is why lawyers have money,
This is why lawyers exist.
You find the way
to design new legal fictions so you can do whatever you want.
Exactly. Exactly.
Anyway, so getting back to the reality, Elon Musk has been pursuing this through the courts to stop Sam Altman from basically inverting the structure of OpenAI and making it a for-profit entity full stop, so he can start building this consumer tech company for the future.
Elon sues it.
He says that that's ongoing, but this latest thing where he basically said, I'm going to bid $97 billion. I think it's pretty clear that Elon Musk does not expect that. Potentially, he would be like, I'm sure he'd be very happy.
Exactly. If he could get it for 97, there's plenty of people who will chuck in for that. Yeah.
But I'm sure he is also, I'm sure he'd be really happy if like a court gave it to him for that price.
Yeah.
But also, logically, I'm pretty sure he knows that he's not going to get it.
It's throwing a cat amongst the pigeons in order to like make it prove that they're a for-profit entity and like make it confusing and weird.
He wants to push the asking price up to $97 billion because the board also has the fiduciary duty to entertain that bid. If Sam Altman's trying to slide through this $40 billion investment to make it for profit, but then someone comes in and offers $97 billion.
Yeah.
The logic dictates the board has to entertain that offer and discuss it and consider it and be like, that's actually way higher. And for all the investors and shareholders and whatever else, we're entertaining that $97 billion bid. And then hopefully that would push it out of the realm of what Sam Altman's investors could do. And therefore he can't turn it into a for-profit entity. That's really, really simplifying it, but that's kind of the vibe of what Elon's trying to do.
He's fucking with the process.
He's trying to fuck with the process.
Because he's vindictive.
He's a vindictive man, and he doesn't want that. And if at the end of it somehow it got spat out and he owned OpenAI and could merge it with XAI, amazing.
Oh yeah, he'd be pretty happy. With that.
He'd fucking love that. The board have rejected that offer.
Yes, and Sam Altman specifically, not only did he come out and say it was a definite no from him, and he would offered to buy X for $9.7 billion, which I guess was like a slight being like, I offer 1/10 of the price that you offered for my company for your company. He also then said in an interview that he thinks that Elon Musk is deeply sad, a fundamentally sad person that has some like deep-seated issues that makes him very sad. So I mean, for these guys, it's obviously also personal, which is why we love it, folks. Playing out on the international stage. Two of, I guess, the most powerful men in the world. I guess I'd put Elon vaguely up there. Sam Altman, probably not one of the most powerful men in the world, but, certainly one of the most relevant men in the world. Having, like, let's be frank, a toddler-esque discussion. Highly unbecoming. We love this on Down Round, folks.
Oh, we love that sort of shit. So what we can probably expect is that now, obviously this is Sam Altman via Elon Musk is one of the big rivalry that's currently going on. Plus, I guarantee you that OpenAI was sitting back and waiting for what Grok or XAI was going to announce with Grok and what it looked like and what the vibe is. But it seems like, based on the reporting around the traps, the rumors that are going around, plus some reporting around, it looks like we're probably going to get a new GPT.
We're going to get GPT-5, but it's
4.5 first.
Yeah, and also even GPT-5 seems to not actually be in the same vein as like 3 and 4. It's going to be some kind of universal model thing.
Yeah, exactly.
There's like is actually a bunch of different models in one to try and streamline. I know they're trying to streamline the naming conventions, but his post about it was even more confusing, to be perfectly honest. But regardless, we tried deep research with the down round test.
Yep. Shoes.
Deep research. So subsequent to our last episode, we now have access to deep research.
$200 a month if you want. Or
300 US, $300 Australian dollars a month, which is actually a slight discount based on the dollar.
It's about Thank you.
It's about a $15 discount compared to the you Yanks who are listening. We get it. What's that? 5% cheaper.
You dropped shoes in?
I dropped shoes in. It asked me to clarify exactly what I mean by shoes. Do you want market trends? Do you want this? Do you want that? I once again just said the word shoes. Yep. Obviously, that's part of the test. This is akin to passing the bar or Oxford's MBA, executive MBA, etc. And it was like, well, he wants to know about shoes, and it gave me two different running shoes, specific running shoes, a male and female, two sports shoes, male and a female, and two different boots, male and female. Yep. And you know what? If someone came up to me and said shoes...
that's not bad.
And then I was like, what do you mean by shoes? And they said shoes. I'm like, well, I guess here's a couple of runners. Here's a couple of... That's what I do. So you know what? Deep research, it gets a tick from me.
Damn, that's good. So there was another addition to this, Perplexity, who we've talked about a few times. Obviously, it's the Google Challenger AI search engine.
Which where I guess the official down around stance is, whilst we like using it, we're bearish on it long term.
I don't think it's going to work. They came out and Arvind Srinivas, he had a dispute with Sam Altman on X because Perplexity released their own deep research tool, also called Deep Research. But it's free. I mean, you at least you get a few free searches per day or whatever, which is certainly a discount from $300 a month.
Yes.
I'll give them that. And I tried a new test for that one where I said to Perplexity, find out everything you can about Raf Dixon.
Oh, you didn't tell me about this.
Everything you can about Raf Dixon and prepare a report. Mm-hmm. And I was watching the reasoning that came up, like the chain of reasoning, was very funny because it was kind of like, Raf Dixon, I have no idea who that is. Let me find out. Let me think about it. I'm going to go away. Over the course of like 90 seconds, it was like, I still have no idea who Raf Dixon is. I'm going to have to expand the remit of my search.
Oh, that's good OPSEC on my part.
But it did actually come up with a report for you. Would you like to hear it?
Can't believe you've been keeping this from me. Go on.
So the headline is The Multifaceted Career of Raf Dixon, from hip-hop to tech commentary.
Okay, yep.
Raf Dixon has emerged as a significant figure in Australian cultural spheres.
Okay, I mean, I'm Mr. Sydney, I suppose.
Navigating diverse fields from music production to podcasting with notable success. His career trajectory reflects a blend of artistic creativity and analytical insight, making him a unique voice across multiple domains.
I take back everything I said about Perplexity. This is to the moon.
This report synthesizes available information to provide a comprehensive overview of Dixon's professional journey and contributions. Mm-hmm. It's good so far. Raf Dixon first...
Where's the source of that?
This is a 5-page report, so I'm not going to continue reading it.
No.
There's 2 errors so far.
Do we get to down round?
We do. There's a lot before we get to down round.
It doesn't mention me being in the art gallery in New South Wales as a visual artist. Wow.
That never comes up. The album Mainline reached number 2 in the ARIA charts.
That's correct, after Angus and Julia Stone.
We
We're released in the wrong week.
Hang on, get ready for this. Demonstrating commercial viability while maintaining artistic integrity. Then it finally says, since 2022, Dixon has co-hosted a Down Around podcast with James Hennessy, analysing technology's intersection with business and culture. The show has become a respected voice in Australian tech circles.
Agreed. Okay, that's facts.
Examining phenomena like AI development, true.
We just did.
Particularly OpenAI's deep research systems.
What?
Particularly? Cryptocurrency
How did
trends.
No, wow. This is AGI confirmed. It predicted that we would talk about this.
Cryptocurrency trends and the life cycle of digital platforms.
Okay.
I guess we've talked about that. Recent episodes have focused on automatable white-collar work, that was last week, demonstrating Dixon's grasp of complex technical subjects.
See, once again, though, you can read into this the
exact
RLHF
system.
No, but it's like it's making everything positive. You
Everything's-
know how
yeah,
they
exactly.
always do that? They it always errs towards like the adjectives and like pushing the deep inside and in a remarkable from it always talks like that as if everything is unique and special.
It's not going to talk you exactly. It's not going to talk you down. I will. So there's many more paragraphs of random shit it's figured out about you. Again, this is free. You can go to perplexity.com and
Ask
do
the
whatever.
same thing, I suppose.
But I'll just finish on the conclusion, which I think you would find inspiring or like would give you like again. This is your life. Raf Dixon's career trajectory illustrates the potential of cross-disciplinary practice in modern media.
Yep. I'm crying.
From chart-topping hip-hop productions to incisive tech commentary.
What about electronica?
Didn't come up.
What about IDM?
His work demonstrates consistent thematic concerns with cultural authenticity and technological impact. The through line connecting his musical and analytical work appears to be a focus on how tools, whether drum machines or machine learning models, shape human expression and social structures. As digital media continues evolving, Dixon's hybrid approach offers valuable insights into maintaining artistic integrity amidst technological disruption.
Wow, that's true.
That's making up. I'm tearing up.
Yeah, I'm tearing up too. It's true. As I've always said, sometimes I just want to go into the jungle with some bongos and let go of all of the cables, but then other times I want to strap in and play some AR cricket.
And speaking of the jungle, Imagine how many hectares of jungle were incinerated to generate that report, which was factually wrong on numerous points.
I think that's a great place to cut it off. I mean, I don't know how many people are going to convert from free to paid with like, you want to hear more of that? Well, we've got plenty more in part 2, but we should just cut this now and get into... There's some interesting stuff about OpenAI's new ranking system and Claude, and then we'll talk about the NVIDIA dump and where that's at, as well as like maybe an update on the down round portfolio, robots and the humane AI pin in part 2, and maybe next week I can just look up. I'll use the $300 OpenAI on you.
All right.
That could be good.
That could be good. But anyway, we'll continue this conversation on Down Round Premium.
Yeah, so go to downround.net, check out the cool website, and subscribe to Premium. It's not very much money, and you get to hear
more
robots.
More.